But ladies and gentlemen, it is over. The Detroit Lions have won a playoff game, first time in 31 years. Jared Goff is
24-23.
My gosh.
You called it.
I
You
said
they wouldn't get the ball back. Yo, what's up? It's Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Ahmed Fareed is here, right? It's over. 2023 is over. Let's get that in the books. Close the yearbook, Fareed, okay? It's a new year. We know you're a Lions fan. Your Lions are up 17-10. We'll tell you again, but how do you always say it? We'll tell you about a game that you already know about.
We'll keep you updated on a game where you already know the result of what happened in that game.
But that's what we do. That's what we're here. You know the results of all these games. That's what we're going to unpack for you. But I hope everybody's good out there. It's great to be back week 1 of the NFL. And, seriously, it was a long weekend, but I still feel energized and adrenaline flowing because it was an awesome day. It was chaotic, crazy, little bit of everything, sloppy play as you would expect in some games, whatever. We had some magical, fun moments, but awesome to be back, playing NFL football here.
Well, that's the key, is you want to learn about these teams in week 1, right? But you don't want to just assume that what we saw in week 1 is the real deal, is what we're going to see the rest of the season.
Exactly.
So what can we take away from week 1? What is a mirage? What is just fake? And just
pump the brakes. Let's not overreact. We're not going to go there. We're going to have smart, sensible conversations. We're going to talk about these games and try to break them down in a way that makes sense. We're, as usual, as Ahmed always says, we will hit every single game. But good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you, too.
How you doing, man?
That is our promise to the homie. So it has come full circle though, because the last time we did the Sunday night show was that soundbite. It was the Lions beating the Rams in the playoffs, so now we have Lions and Rams, and so, again, we'll keep you updated on that one. But it's
deja vu all over again.
It is deja vu all over again. But it is our promise to you, the homie, that we will talk about every game on this day. And at the end, if you stick around all the way into the end, we'll talk about those games from Thursday and Friday, too.
Oh, yeah. We're not going to miss anything.
A little bonus. So let's start with who was your man crush last year.
Right.
The best rookie quarterback season that you ever saw.
Yep.
C.J. Stroud, the Houston Texans, they have done it again. They've started out 1-0. They beat the Colts 29-27. C.J. Stroud, get this stat line now. 12 touchdowns, no interceptions in 6 career division games. And so a little bit back and forth, some highlight plays by Anthony Richardson, but the Texans, they got some new weapons. They got some new toys. Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, they used them.
Game was really good, 29-27, no doubt about it. You said it. We'll break down the Colts and all that. Here's my first just initial thought of the game is, oh, my gosh, with the Texans, right? We knew the passing game and C.J. Stroud were going to be good, but my big thing with the game is, oh, my gosh, if they have a running game like we saw today, right? That was the only thing that missed from the Bobby Slowick / Shanahan offense last year was the ability to just run at will against certain football teams. Joe Mixon was definitely one of the stars of the day, right? No big runs on the day, really. It was just one great 6-yard run, 8-yard run, 10-yard run, 12-yard run, 5-yard run. That was phenomenal. But I say that and where I go, this is scary where the Houston Texans can go from here, because if they can run the ball like this, and then this guy who never misses a throw ever in C.J. Stroud. I mean, if it's there, he's going to hit it. And he still made some of the damnedest throws I saw today as far as accuracy and put in a spot where guys can't get, defenders can't get it. But my point being, if the run game goes like this, Slowick has 9 million play action passes just like Shanahan too. And they're going to put people in such a bind with, the addition of Diggs, who's going to be their meat and potatoes, over the middle, lots of reception guy. And then you got Nico Collins, who's going to be the big play guy for their football team. And we know Tank Dell is going to have splash moments as well. That is what excites me the most about this football game, is what they looked like on the offensive side of the ball. And not necessarily what they looked like today, but I think the potential of what it could look like going forward.
So here's my question with Joe Mixon. 30 carries, 159 yards, a touchdown. DeMeco Ryan said when we needed him to run the ball, he did. They knew it was a run. He still made plays.
Exactly.
Was that real?
Because I think it was real.
We've seen this in the past.
Yeah.
When a team gives up on a running back, usually that guy's done.
I know. But this is last year when I was talking to you, and we would watch Dalvin Cook or whatever, I'd be like, oh, man, that doesn't look the same, right? I said it right away. I saw Joe Mixon today, and I went, man, I mean, he looks fresh. He looks really good. Doesn't look like he lost a step at all. Looks like he's motivated by everything, let alone, hey, he was in a place in Cincinnati that I don't think was dedicated to the run like this team is about to be, so I'm sure that excites him too. And the Texans with a healthy offensive line are dangerous up front. So that was awesome. Colts, there's positives to take away too. You said it, right? I still have my worries, but you got to be excited about Anthony Richardson and some of the big throws and the big plays he made. I mean, that's what the Colts did today. It was just big plays. There was nothing where you went, oh, they're going to put drives together, and oh, he's surgical, as I always say, and stuff like that. That's the part of the game I worry about with Anthony Richardson too. He's going to make some of the wow throws, but is he just going to make some of the everyday throws that we got to make in the NFL on a consistent basis? And I think that's still something to question. But Alec Pierce, I'm a big fan of him, and I got a lot of shit when I made him a top 5 receiver coming out in the draft that year. I'm telling you saw today. Alec Pierce is the fastest white boy receiver in football right now. He can go deep. He's going to be their deep target there. So definitely positives. But I wouldn't be lying too. I mean, Colts defensively, right? That's got to be a little concerning about how the day started off, the season started off, consistently the ball being moved, the ability for the Texans to control the clock for the most part, right? 417 yards, had the ball for 40 minutes. Those aren't good things for the Gus Bradley Colts defense. But again, it wasn't all bad. There's a lot of positives out there too.
That Anthony Richardson 60-yard touchdown pass to Alec Pierce traveled 65.3 yards in the air. It's the third longest completion in the next-gen stats era.
I don't know which one was more impressive, right? The bomb was great, but the missile he threw to Doolin on the in-cut and then he ran for the touchdown, the fact that he just threw it with such pace, and it was a pretty tight window where he had to get it in, and he fit it into the guy before the defender, I think, thought like, oh, I'm going to be able to make a break on this. I'm either going to get a pick or I'm going to get a hand on it. He threw it so hard he didn't get to it. Receiver catches it, boom, touchdown. But, all in all, good things for Anthony Richardson. Colts, I like them. I think they're going to be a pain in the ass all year. I'm not ready to say they're a playoff team or anything like that. You know my thoughts there. But I still think they're good. I was impressed with the Texans. It wasn't perfect. Big plays. They're going to be pissed about all that. I know that. But overall, that offense and what they did, and the defense, they'll continue to get better. They got a lot of talent on that side of the ball.
The only negative for the Houston Texans is they've created a problem now with Stephon Diggs. 2 touchdowns in his first game, and he drop off now. I'd be like, come on, man.
Right.
What happened to us?
That's where I think that's where his value will be a lot of the times, though, because he's going to be their number one route runner, right? You always hear me talk about that. Nico's going to be the guy, come back, on one-on-one back shoulder, go route, post route, right?
Really perfect spot for him. Dell and Nico can be the speed guys.
Exactly, right. And now he can be, I'll run the little fake slant and come back out, or the jerk route over the middle and the linebacker. And, it might not be 5 receptions, 125-yard stat lines for Stephon Diggs like it used to be in the old days. I think this year we're going to see more 8 catches, 74 yards, and the touchdowns down in the red zone. They'll lean on him down there because he's very good at understanding holes and how to set up defenders when it gets close down into touchdown area.
Colts now since 2013, they are 0-10-1 in their last 11 season openers. So they're used to this. They've gone down this road before. Thank God for that one tie. Or that stat would look really bad. Colts hung tough, though, lose by 2 to the Houston Texans. We had some comebacks. Let's start with the Buffalo Bills comeback against the Arizona Cardinals. 34-28, the final score there. Bills were down 17-3 in the second quarter. And you always say this about the Buffalo Bills. You're like, it's a Josh Allen show. It's all on his shoulders. Why do they do that? You know why they do that? Because it works.
Because he's Josh Allen.
He's Josh Allen.
Because he is. Now, again, it's a little bit of the same thing there, too. This was one of the cooler games of the day, honestly. It was the tale of, I don't want to say 2 halves, but the first 2 quarters of the football game, Arizona was clearly the better football team on the field. Buffalo was having a hard time kind of getting any momentum on the offensive side of the ball. Josh Allen got strip sacked, fumbled early on in the football game, and you went, oh man, here comes turnovers and all of that, right? The passing game looked a little out of sync early, but the big moment, and this is where the Bills are scary, because I know I have my questions about their team and if their talent is good enough to go deep into the playoffs and all of that. But with the league, the way it's set up right now, being a quarterback league, right? You see in games like this, if they're just close to as good as the other team, or they're having a bad day, but they keep it close, he makes plays that just a lot of people on the planet can't make, and he keeps them in the game, and he kind of jump-started them. But it was 2 big penalties at the end of the first half, right? They got a late hit on, I believe, on Josh Allen, and then there was another late hit on somebody else that I can't remember, but it doesn't really fucking matter, okay? That gave them 33 yards, and then they finished that drive off, made it 17-10 before the half, got the ball to start the second half, marched right down the field, touchdown, and all of a sudden the game was 17-7, and it had to be deflating for the Arizona Cardinals. And really from that point on, the game was controlled by the Buffalo Bills. They had the Arizona offense disappeared. They were running the ball okay at first to start the game. Kyler Murray was looking good and everything like that. But then they had a hard time finding ways to make big plays, stay on the field, do that. And they had a tough field goal drive. And then they had the kickoff return, and that's all they could really speak of. They gave a good shot at the end of the game to try to tie it up. They had a chance with Dortch catching the ball down the left sideline, but ultimately it was the Bills who prevailed, and it was a good win for Buffalo, who I don't think played their best, and they're feeling themselves out a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah. And I think they got to figure out who's going to be their go-to guys on the offensive side of the ball, especially in the passing game.
They tried to run the ball a little bit. Cook with 19 carries, 71 yards there. The question will be for me on the Bills, the defensive side of it. They figured things out last year with the lack of depth and some of the injuries. And is Josh Allen going to have to score 34 points a game for them to be able to win it? That'll be the question.
I think so too. You know, they're very well coached, as we always say. I have no problem with the coaching there in Buffalo. It's, to me, is what you always hear me say. It's just, do they have enough Jimmies and Joes against the top tier teams in football to where, yes, it doesn't have to be Josh Allen playing the greatest game we've ever seen to win the football game and somebody could take pressure off? I'm still going to have that question until proven wrong.
Marvin Harrison Jr. in his NFL debut, 1 catch for 4 yards.
Yeah, he had a big drop on an in-cut early, I think in the maybe late first half. That would have been a big play. That ultimately, I don't think they scored a touchdown on that drive. That kind of hurt them. But, yeah, we didn't get to see much of him. It was Kyler Murray making plays, James Conner early on in the first half, making a lot of plays in the screen game and the pass game and then the run game. But, yeah, this is another thing. Hey, you know, Marvin Harrison didn't play much in the preseason. This is his first time out. You're in an away game, and they're going to have to work on, finding that guy for them. It's going to be him, but can it be him right away as far as being that guy that can frame the whole offense around?
Both of us were lower on Marvin Harrison Jr. than the rest of the community, so I can say after week 1, we were definitively right on
That's
Marvin
right.
Harrison
Rub it
Jr.
in there, Ahmed. Way to go.
So moving on now to another comeback. The the Dolphins come back. What was the final on this one? It's been a long day.
Oh, you look at you a little flustered here early on in the day?
It's been a long day.
Oh, man. Well, you didn't even did you do anything today?
We did the closing ceremony for the Paralympics.
Okay, you worked. I hope you did nothing, and then I could jump on you.
I am now out of. I was in this building at 9:30. I beat you in here. We are now done with saying bonjour, merci beaucoup, all that stuff. Paris is now done.
It's officially over.
We walk away from the French language now, and we move towards football. But it did. So now the Dolphins did win that game. I've checked my notes once again. The Dolphins coming back.
They did,
beating the Jaguars. Huge fumble. Javon Holland. Punching it out of the arms.
Play of the day, maybe.
If that doesn't happen, the Jaguars probably do win, and I was right then in leading the segment.
Well, right. I'm one of those that picked the Jags to win this football game. I thought the Jags defense had enough talent on it to match up with the great speed of the Miami Dolphins, right? Which they did for the most part of the day. I mean, that's the bad thing, or it's a shame that we won't talk about some of the good things the Jags did. Yeah. They had a bunch of 4th and 1 stops, right? Tua and the Miami Dolphins couldn't really get any momentum going early. Tua missed a few throws early that were deep shots that certainly could have maybe started and jump-started the Dolphins' offense. But ultimately, I was really impressed with what the Jaguars were doing early on. And you know me, with the Jags, I always complain about, hey, they don't throw the ball down the field enough. They don't find enough ways to stretch the field and make explosive plays that way. I felt like there was a concerted effort early in the football game to do that. Our man, Brian Thomas Jr., he's a fucking baller. That's in. That's just in. He's in. I mean, I don't care. He's 4 for 47 with the great touchdown pass at the back of the end zone that he caught from Trevor Lawrence, but also got the huge pass interference against Jalen Ramsey, which was like a 50-yard pass interference, which he almost caught in the end zone anyways. So the Jags came out hitting on all cylinders. And then you said it. The play of the day maybe in the NFL with Javon Holland. It looks like Travis Etienne's about to walk into the end zone, and we're going to go up 24-7. They fumble, right? Dolphins get the touchback. They recovered the ball in the end zone. Next play action. Looks like he's going to throw the ball over the middle to Waddle on a quick little pop slant, but he waits, and they got Tyreek Hill going over the top of the pop slant from the other side, and he throws him the deep crosser. And it looks like two Jaguars got the angle, and he runs by him, and it's see you later. And he was officially out of the handcuffs at that time. Okay,
yeah,
so,
you're right. It was a comeback for the Dolphins, and it was a comeback for Tyreek Hill, starting the day in handcuffs and ending it in the end zone for the Miami Dolphins. How weird is that, right?
I mean, what a weird day
on
altogether.
the Twitter feed, it popped up, and I was like, wait, what's happening with Tyreek Hill?
I saw it, and then I walked in the building and had people telling me about it. But yeah, unfortunate to have to deal with that. And I don't know. By all due accounts, again, I'm not trying to say I know exactly what happened, but it doesn't sound like it's great for the Miami police or whoever arrested him so far. We'll see where that goes.
We're going to investigate.
We'll do
what
invest.
happened.
You get to that, okay?
I'm going to fly down there right now.
Fly down and get part of the investigation for the Miami Police Department there.
I'm going to take a week and a half, go down to Miami, and figure out what happened.
I'm going to piggyback off of something Jason Garrett said because I thought it was a good point.
Yeah.
Right? The Dolphins, when games aren't track meets or pretty, and they're not the front runners, they lose a lot of these games typically. These are games we saw them lose last year down the stretch.
Mike McDaniel said that at the end of the game. He goes, quote, that game, we don't win the last 2 years.
So there is something to build on there. He's going to be able to go in tomorrow and go, hey, we didn't play our best, but we hung around. We were tough, physical. The defense, who was kind of getting shredded apart at first early on in the game, they settled in and really played really awesome football in the second half. I mean, the Jaguars offense, for all the people they have there, that was disappointing that they disappeared like that in the second half. I mean, Trevor looked great in the first half. We talked about Brian Thomas Jr. and all that. Christian Kirk had one play. He did have a big drop on a third down that would have extended the drive. That hurt them as well. Trayvon Walker, right, their first-round pick from a few years ago, he had 2 sacks. You're going, man, the Jags and some of these young dudes, they look real. There's positives for them as well, but this one's going to hurt them tonight at home, and it's going to take them a day or two to get over it.
Keep an eye on how they use Devon Achane, too. 7 catches on 7 targets. They're lining him up outside. He had 10 rushes as well. He is a weapon even more than he was last year.
They're great at implementing their running backs into the pass game, whether it's lining up a receiver or just little swing passes that are basically like toss sweeps, right? But they throw it overhand, and then they have these little creative ways to get them on the edge and have blockers out there, and they pick a lane, and it's go gadget rockets up my ass, and all of a sudden it's, they got 15 yards down the field. Ultimately, throughout most of the day, I thought the Jags did a pretty good job. What I always say is taking away their bullcrap plays, right? Their screens, their little tricks where they really throw it nowhere and the guy runs for 40 or 50. For the most part, they did pretty good. But as the game went on, McDaniel started to crack the code, and they started to move the ball, at will on that Jags defense.
A comeback for the Dolphins using their stars. It was a comeback for the Bears using no offensive touchdowns whatsoever. Defensive and special teams did it in Caleb Williams' debut in the NFL. Chicago trailed 17-3 in the second quarter, then outscored the Titans 21-0 in the second half. The Titans really messed this up.
Well, this is where you have to question quarterback wins sometimes, right? This is where they, because I heard somebody on TV earlier going, he's the first quarterback to be the number 1 pick and win his first game ever. And
Since David Carr in 2002, that person was me.
That tells you there too, right? Because they weren't a very good team. So, I mean, but it was ugly for the Bears on the offensive side of the ball. It wasn't necessarily very pretty for the Titans either. I'll say that as well. It was good good drive in the first quarter, got them going. You thought, hey, Will Levis made a few throws. Tony Pollard looked really good. But, I mean, ultimately, the Bears dropped the kickoff return. Vesus Jones drops it. It bounces off him and really just bounces 20 yards right into the Titans' hands, right? So, they got some points off of that. Will Levis made the big pass with Okonkwo pretty well covered, but he realized the defender had his back turned to him, made a nice throw there. And, even though at that point there, and it wasn't the Titans are playing awesome, you just went, man, 17-0. I don't see the Bears offense doing anything. How is this going to work? Right? They drive down at 17-3, and they should have got more out of that. They had the drop pass by Keenan Allen on the touchdown, And you just went, man, this ain't their day. They don't got it, right? It doesn't seem like it's going to work out. And then the dam broke with all the other things. The Bears finding ways, really, this is what they did at the end of last year that we talked about. Defense and special teams and being physical and just hanging in the football game. And that was the impressive thing. I'll say this again, too. Caleb Williams was not good, and I'm going to break him down more in a moment. But, again, like, no dicey decisions today. That's the other thing I will say about it. Like, he didn't go, oh, no, we're not winning. I got to start making some plays and doing this. He kind of hung in there, let the game come to him. It never had to come to him, really, and they won it in other ways. But, still an impressive win. Shows you that I think they can be dangerous. He's only going to get better. And the one thing I said, and I think you probably heard me say this in the pregame a little bit, is I don't think they did Caleb any favors today, right? I think they were trying to bring him along so slowly and kind of massage it and, hey, we don't want him to have to do too much, that they almost did him a disservice by never putting him in a position of power.
Well, they
that would
tried
be
to establish the run early in
way
downs.
Too many first down runs, first and second down runs, way too many short passes. I don't feel like they ever did anything that backed the Titans off at all early in the football game. And then it kind of compromised their ability to get in a rhythm or do anything like that. And it was tough sledding from there on out. But damn, I mean, a block punt, then full Tropic Thunder.
Oh, I was going to say that exact thing.
I mean, full Tropic Thunder by Will Levis at the end of the football game.
That's the definition of full Tropic Thunder. You have the lead, under 8 minutes to go in the game. Protect the ball.
Old Carson Wentz stuff. Who else am I missing that used to do crazy
Jimmy
stuff?
Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo. There you go. That's who I was. I was like, somebody else used to do crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was that kind of stuff right there. And then we also had the Darrell Taylor strip sack that set up the short field where they got a field goal as well. So yeah, that was a good defense and special teams type of win. They got to play the Texans next week. They can't play like that, the Chicago Bears. They got to open up the offense a little bit more and attack through the passing game. And honestly, I think it'll be better for Caleb. They got to back some people off and take some pressure off of everything. Like I said, I think they did a little bit of a disservice to Caleb today.
I mean, but what a great win, right?
Fewest
yards by a winning team since 2020. You start out 1-0 despite all of that.
It's like the 85 Bears type of win right there. I mean, that's really what it was. I'm just trying to look.
Even the 85 Bears were like, we need better offense than that. That was ridiculous.
Well, and they did have better offense than that. I can tell you that. But I think that was it. Overall, though, hey, there's some things.
More on this
there's some things I liked about the Titans.
Okay,
I did that.
We have an interception. Looks like the Rams have picked off Jared Goff.
It was 17. It's 17-13. You guys were driving, and Goff threw an interception here in field goal range, 30-yard line. Right? They go empty set. He's in the shotgun. Oh, he's got. He thinks he's got Amon-Ra St. Brown over the middle because the linebacker went with the guy in the slot, and Johnson came through kind of as a robber in the middle, and I don't think Jared Goff saw him, and he got the interception. So Rams are uncomfortably hanging around your Lions right now. The Detroit Rams are hanging around.
But the Lions have held them to a field goal last time in the red zone. They got the pick at the end of the first half, and so the defense is actually saving this for him.
But this ball might have hit the ground. We're going to see here. This might not be it. Might not be an interception.
I think he actually hung on to it.
You think he got the hands underneath
it? Yeah. I once was a Rams fan.
Oh, my gosh. I think you're right. I think unlucky. His hand was like balled up, and it still stayed on there.
As a former Rams fan of a couple years ago, when they first got Matt Stafford, I think that's a pick.
But Titans, they'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Will Levis obviously has to play better. We know that, right? Calvin Ridley did look good, and their run game, that is something they're going to be able to build on. Tony Pollard looked real, and then you saw the Callahan family influence, right? You know, the dad being the offensive line coach, he's one of the greatest to ever live at doing that, and they got that going. But, all in all, they're going to be another team that's sick they lost this one.
So those are the comebacks. Now we go to the section called Defense Wins Championships. Actually, not championships, just Week 1 games. It also applies in Week 1 in the NFL.
I thought you were like Devin McCourty here. That's all he talked about today. Defense. Defense was awesome.
There was a lot of it. There's a lot of it for the Steelers and TJ Watt. They beat the Falcons 18-10 was the final score there. Chris Boswell, I don't know if you knew this. We've never seen this before. He was the first player in NFL history with 6 field goals and a punt in a single game. When I saw that, I was like, I bet that's never happened before.
Well, I mean,
it's true.
That is incredible. right? They had the roughing the punter. The punter got hurt and looked like he seriously hurt his knee. So I don't know
Boswell's
what
like,
do.
I've done everything else. I might
Boswell's
as well.
like, you pay me well. Don't worry, guys. I'm here to kick. I'll kick it any way you want me to
They
do.
should have thrown him the ball, too. I bet he could have done that.
I mean, awesome day by him. But, I mean, really, this is Raheem Morris and Mike Tomlin facing off. Best buddies, those two, okay? I mean, best buddies. They were on the coaching staff with me in the Tampa Bay, so this was personal.
Yeah.
And Mike Tomlin showed him, this is Steeler football. This is what we do. Was that not the ultimate Steeler game today, right? No Russell Wilson has the old man calf injury, so he's not playing. Justin Fields did good. He was efficient. You could say what you want. He was efficient. He was tough, right? And didn't make any crucial mistakes. Still had some quarterback-center exchange problems, which are crazy that they're still bothering him here. But tough physical running by Najee Harris, that was important. They got the ball to George Pickens, which is important because he is their best offensive player. Little Freiermuth. And then, hey, let the big boys eat on defense. And they did. And I think it showed, again, to our point, like, the Steelers out-hit the Falcons today. The Steelers played in the preseason. The Falcons didn't, right? I know you're very focused on your Lions game over there, and you're getting nervous here, but stay on task, kid, okay? Keep your head in the game.
I'm ready. I'm ready to pounce.
But, yes, the Steelers' defense was the star of the show. We saw it early, some early drives by the Falcons, and then they settled. The Steelers' defense settled in, and Kirk Cousins had no time to do anything. He was flustered. The pass game could not really do anything. They had a little success running the ball with Bijan Robinson, but nothing there. But again, it's an offensive line in Atlanta that's very good. I'm not giving up on them in week one, but I do think it showed that they played against a defense that was like, hey, we've played football this year. You guys haven't. And they weren't on their A game up front, and the Steelers physically just brought the fight to Atlanta in more ways than one.
Which is a surprise, too, because Atlanta has built their team with their offensive line and be a physical team up front. TJ Watt, though, dominated. Caleb McGarry all afternoon. This is from NFL.com. Finished with 3 pressures and a sack, which would have been 3 sacks had he not had those 2 strip sacks wiped out by penalties. I don't know he had 2 strip sacks.
He had 2 strip sacks.
Because they said he was offsides.
One was offsides, which the ref which he came out and told Florio.
Yeah.
The ref told me at halftime he messed up. Okay. Right, so he shouldn't have.
So put that back in his stat
right,
column,
and then I can't remember what the other one, there was a penalty on the other strip sack. So yeah,
defensive holding on a corner.
Defense, so that wiped that one away. But see, this is another thing where sometimes sacks are overrated, right? We talk about that, and they're not totally overrated, but they harassed him all day. They only had 2 sacks on the day, but if I didn't know the stat sheets, I would have gone, oh yeah, they had 5 or 6 stats today. They were all over Kirk Cousins. I mean, but yes, they only had 2, but they had a ton of pressures, and they just made him uncomfortable. Yeah. And especially coming off an Achilles injury where he doesn't move the same yet, right? It was tough sledding for that Atlanta offense.
I know it's only week 1. Do we hit the panic button on Kirk Cousins?
No, we don't.
I mean, he didn't look good. It didn't look good.
No, it definitely did not.
Thank God they got Michael Penix Jr.
They fumbled a shotgun snap at one point, right in the third quarter. That hurt them. He looked out of sync, but I'm not giving up on that. I do think this offensive line with Bijan Robinson and Kirk Cousins at the helm at quarterback, they're going to be a formidable offense. That was just a tough challenge today to start off the season with Pittsburgh. Never easy because of all the creative things they do. And like I said, they always come physically ready week 1, and that's one of the advantages they have.
Trinsanity 51 said, damn okay, George Pickens. Can he be A.J. Brown-ish? And thought Fields played solid, actually helped that offense keep possession and move the ball. And then Nuevo Huevo said, damn okay, Chris Boswell, 18 points for the Steelers, all from field goals. It's football the way God intended. So a fan of defense, Nuevo.
Hey, it was.
Huevo.
It was a defensive day, no doubt about it. There was one thing I had a problem with the Steelers today. They were up 15-10. It was 4th and 1 on the 5-yard line.
Let me guess, they went for it.
They went for it. Quarterback sneak, and he got nothing. Here's my pet peeve. I don't even care if they go for it anymore. Maybe I'll be cooler about that this year, all right? What I don't want to see is don't run it up the middle.
Yes.
I'm so sick of seeing teams go, well, 4th and 1, well, we'll just run it up the middle. You don't think the other team thinks that? You don't think these defensive linemen who are all 6'4", 320, 315, 345, they're foaming at the mouth going, they're not going to run it up the middle from me for 1 yard. So just don't make that mistake. But
I agree with that.
Big
throw it to Josh Reynolds, but just throw it high enough.
Hey,
where he can catch it.
What will they do if Russell Wilson can play this week. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. I told you all from the start, I want Justin Fields. I don't care about Russell Wilson. I think Justin Fields will lay it on the line to win football games. And he threw the ball well today. Maybe he doesn't throw it as good as Russell Wilson, but I think some of the other things he does will make up for that difference. We'll see where that goes. I think it's going to be very interesting.
And maybe Russell Wilson wants it to be Justin Fields, too. You never know.
Well,
maybe
he
he's
might
done
not feel
enough.
healthy enough, right, to even feel comfortable with that. But the Rams marched down the field in the interception, and Ahmed is officially nervous, and so is everybody that worked Sunday Night Football because we all picked the Detroit Lions.
Gave us plenty of time, though.
And
Plenty
the
of time
jinx
to
might
come
be
back.
in.
Okay, plenty of time. Too much time. 4:30 to go here.
I almost switched when I knew everybody was picking.
Can you do that once the graphic's been made?
You can do it as long as it's before kickoff, before the pick segment.
But now you put all your pictures in a column. I saw.
It's
and can you move
2024. They can drag my picture to the other slide.
I'd like to see them do that. You say that. It might be tougher than you say. Patriots also came back. Oh my gosh, what happened here?
What?
I mean, the Patriots.
Oh, I was like, did your computer blow up?
No, I'm just seeing this for the first time. The Bengals lost? Not Bucky Cox says, damn okay, Gerard Mayo. I was not a believer, but what a perfect game plan to beat the Bengals today. Played incredible defense, limited the mistakes on offense, and played through the run. So here's the deal, right? Like one of us, if either of us is right on the Bengals, the other person is going to lose a ton of credibility. I picked him to miss the playoffs. I'm feeling pretty good right now. You picked him to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
So if either one of us is right,
yes,
the other person has to retire from the podcast, I think.
Yeah, it was not a good start, but I mean, I don't know. This is kind of what the Bengals seem to do. It's always a little to start the season. You know, it seems it takes them a minute or a while to kind of find their groove. Now, the Patriots and Gerard Mayo, hey, this is where I will say I didn't even give them enough credit. Hey, the Patriots' defenses have been good the last few years. Yeah. Gerard Mayo was on the defensive staff. They know how to coach defense. And then, as you know, I don't think the Bengals are reinventing the hieroglyphics language on the offensive side of the ball. And a guy like Gerard Mayo, I think, had a pretty good feel for what the Bengals want to do on the offensive side of the ball. But you know, they kind of played a style of football that was typical New England. Bill Belichick, Gerard Mayo, whoever. They just said, like, we're going to play good, sound football, and the one thing we're not going to do is beat ourselves. And maybe we'll just wait around till you beat yourselves and screw it up. And the Bengals did that today. I think it's fair to say that, let alone, they were, I think, physically beat too. The way Ramondre Stevenson ran the ball, right? Joe Burrow never seemed like he was in sync or had time to throw the ball down the field. They never got the run game going. And you know who I blame for all that? The Bengals and their owner and all this bullshit that's going on there. Pay Jamar Chase. Get it done with. You have a Super Bowl football team, right? T. Higgins and that. He doesn't play today, right? And then, of course, they have themselves to blame because they're going in the score and Tanner Hudson fumbles. You're a big tight end. Don't be throwing the ball up and around. Just two hands, lower your shoulders, bowling ball into the end zone. And then they dropped the punt, right? That was their other turnover, right? Am I wrong about that? Yeah. They dropped the punt and gave the Patriots a short field there too. So, you know, a little bit of the Bengals beating themselves and then the Patriots playing good, sound football. And, there's not a lot of splash there, but, damn, that was a big-time win. And it makes me wonder if the Bengals were looking
ahead.
Boy, hey, week one, we got the Patriots. We were going to win that one. We're worried about the Chiefs in week two, right? And they got the Chiefs next week. It makes me think all of that. But that was a tough loss. And, damn, the Bengals could be staring down 0-2 here to start the year because they got to go to Kansas City next week.
So Pete reminds me that the Bengals were the biggest favorite in week one, and for the first time in my life, I did a survivor pool. Are you familiar with a survivor pool?
I am.
So I've never done it in my life. I'm like, so how does it work? And you just pick the team you think is going to win each week.
Now you know how it works.
And I go, I'm not that big on the Bengals, so I don't think I'll use them that much, but I'll use them this first week.
Right.
And so now I just donated $20 to whomever is running the pool or whoever wins it, I guess. So I don't think I'll ever do that again. That wasn't that fun.
Lost.
I'm
so
done.
When I do my picks with Foria, we have our, we call it like our Johnny Cash, you're dead in a gutter. And if you have to pick one more team, you're dying in a gutter, that's definitely going to win this week. I picked the Bengals.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm with you. All right, I'm with you there. But, again, I'm not panicking. I still think this is a talented team. Everything I know, they're very close with the Jamar Chase contract situation. I was led to believe last week that it was very close.
Yeah.
So I find little details. I don't know what it is, but they got to get some of that nonsense figured out before they're going to be their best thing on their field. What have we talked about with them all preseason? Nothing about their football team on the field. It's all contract stuff. And if you don't think that's distracting in their locker room, you're crazy. It is. Everybody knows that. Every day it's like, is he playing? Oh, look at our star receiver. He's over there. He's not practicing now. He's taking himself out. Oh, he's telling him he's sick today. Oh, his hamstring's a little tight tomorrow, right? So they got they got issues there. It's adding drama to their situation.
It really was a bad result, possibly for both teams. Bengals get the loss, and Patriots may have just screwed themselves out of the first pick of the draft next year. Not that they need it, or another quarterback. Pete says he also initially picked the Bengals, switched it, though, in his survivor pool to the Detroit Lions, who will come back and win this game.
He could be eating that one, too.
You're going to be fine. You're going to be
20
fine.
20-17 Rams. It's 3rd and 5.
All right,
big play right here.
So here we go. So now,
hold on, we got a big play here. It's 3rd and 5. I got to watch this.
5.
Jared Goff dropping back, 4-man rush,
looking left.
Underthrew it.
But
he dropped the interception. Durant, 2 hands on it. Easy interception as he hits the ground. It falls out. The Lions will be punting, I think. You never know with Dan Campbell.
I think they'll punt. But
there's 4 minutes
timeouts
left. They should be okay. Let's see.
They'll get a stop.
I would
think
punt.
They will punt.
I would punt. I don't know if Dan Campbell would.
All right, we continue with the defense wins Week 1 games. The Dallas Cowboys really had it all, offense and defense. They defeat the Browns 33-17. The final in this one. This one was a little bit of a shock to me because much like the Cincinnati Bengals, who what have they been talking about all offseason?
Yes.
With the Dallas Cowboys, it's been some off-the-field stuff, but, man, they showed up on the field.
It didn't look like CD missed one practice, did it?
Right.
I mean, it just looked like, oh, gosh, yeah, CD and Dak, they've been practicing all year long together here. They look great. They're simpatico. They're on the same page. Bam. They had a great plan for the Cleveland defense. A great plan. That's the number one thing. They knew how they wanted to attack Cleveland and all of Jim Schwartz's craziness and his blitzes and all of that. And they had all the right pass protections. They did a good job keeping them honest with the run game. And then when they did sell out and blitz, they had good route combinations, just to be plain and simple about it, that really gave the Cleveland Browns secondary issues. They do some creative things when they blitz. They try to pass people off and do stuff, and Dallas knew it and exposed it and really dominated this football game. I mean, there's no other way to say it.
Most impressive win on Sunday, I think, is this one right here.
I think so. I mean, the defense was awesome. Not a good day to be missing both your starting tackles if you're Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns, because Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence were all over the backfield all day long. They could not run the ball, nor did it feel like they really tried to run the ball enough, which I would be complaining about with the Cleveland Browns, right? And, again, like I said this at halftime, this is 2 games in a row now Cleveland's defense has got their ass torn up, right? I mean, the teams in Texas seem to own them. Texans in the wild card game, explosion, right? Today, Dallas, explosion. So do I worry about their defense a little bit? Yeah, I worry that maybe somebody's starting to figure out how they attack, and there's tells a little bit. The other thing off of that, how could you not worried about Deshaun Watson? How? Well, you're paying him like he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. They still call the game like they don't trust him, right? And the magic of Deshaun Watson that I once knew when I used to say, this is one of the best quarterbacks in football. When we first met, it's definitely one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the game. He's amazing. He can do whatever. He's tough. There's no such thing as that Deshaun Watson anymore.
No signs of the old
None.
Deshaun Watson.
0. I told you that when we did our quarterback rankings, right? It was worse than I thought when I went back and watched it. And that's where you got to be troubled by that to a degree. Right? The throwing, the decision-making, the way they're calling the offense is all concerning to me. But I want to say this. Dak Prescott, way to go. Right? You know me, I'm a big Dak Prescott fan. And he takes way too much crap. He made big plays today. He was tough. He was just a leader. That's the biggest thing about it. And they played a complete football game, like you said, and completely dominated the Cleveland Browns.
Did what he needed to do,
exactly.
179 yards, not a ton, but, man, Deshaun Watson threw the ball 45 times for 169 yards, 2 interceptions. I mean, there is nothing good about that stat line right there. So some problems for the Cleveland Browns. Good start for the Dallas Cowboys.
Way to go, Mike Zimmer on the defensive side of the ball.
Curbio Analytics says the return of Mike Zimmer, great for the NFL. His double A-gap blitz scheme is so fun to watch. And boy, oh boy, with Micah Parsons, it may be even more dangerous than ever. Do you agree with that?
Well, I do. I think that in a lot of ways, Zimmer can maybe make this defense better than it's been the last few years. My issue with them the last few years is what I've always said. They're a little too aggressive. It's too much man-to-man every play, right? All the pass interferences, and then when they play a good offense like the Packers last year, big plays everywhere, right? Zimmer will find the balance of that. Zimmer's got lots of good zone coverages, and he does know how to blitz and pressure at the appropriate time. So it really could be a blessing in disguise that they lost Dan Quinn to the head coach of Washington, and Zimmer comes in and kind of gives them a different look, a different vibe.
Jonesy1441 says, damn, just not even okay, just damn. To Deshaun Watson and the worst contract in the history of the NFL.
I would agree with that as right now.
That trade has not worked out.
No.
So far.
I mean,
I'm going to say that.
Yeah,
I'm going to go on record saying that.
Yeah, you don't worry, you're okay. and at Jonesy1441, I mean, as it stands right now, you're right, buddy, 100%. I mean, it's the dumbest, worst contract in the history of football right now. They've got nothing out of the return. Jerry Jones has gotten more return on his investment today, all right, out of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb than the Browns have gotten out of Deshaun Watson in his whole career in Cleveland so far. I'm just going to say that, plain and simple.
All right, moving on now. It is time for Lowe's Home Team Help. It's for Home Team Help, presented by Lowe's, is the official tagline of the sponsorship.
What up, Lowe's?
Welcome to the podcast, Lowe's.
Welcome to the podcast,
we're
Lowe's.
a podcast of everyone. We love it when new people come to the podcast,
right?
Especially when they're a huge company like Lowe's.
Definitely.
Thanks,
I've
Lowe's.
done some commercials for Lowe's. They treat you right. They're good peeps.
Yeah, which are the commercials that you've done? In your backyard, you were building something
exactly
in your backyard?
Right. It was doing that, watching the game, right? You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. Let's go team. That's what I said at the end.
So we need to do that every time we do this ad, as you say. Let's go team.
Let's go team.
We're going to do it with, so we want to look for someone who's, maybe a little under the radar, or who was under the radar coming into the season. We haven't seen him lately.
Right.
And for that, we're going to go to this Chargers game. Chargers beat the Raiders 22-10. Jim Harbaugh in his debut back in the NFL gets a win. Who is your guy that's maybe was a little under the radar that popped in this game for you?
Just an unbelievable story, comeback story. J.K. Dobbins, the running back. And then, of course, when you couple that with, hey, it's Jim Harbaugh, and we drafted Joe Alt, right? In the first round, we're going to run, we're going to play tough. They're a team, again, like we just talked about a few minutes ago in the Patriots. Jim Harbaugh ball is a little bit like that Patriots way. They just go, we're going to play sound, we're going to play good. Most teams find ways to lose games. We're not going to be the team that does that. We'll let them make mistakes and then capitalize off of it. We'll just play sound, kind of boring football at times, but we'll wear on them. But J.K. Dobbins, who had potential to be really one of the best running backs in football, and then I believe it was, patella and then an Achilles 2 years in a row. And I would tell you that those are the two worst injuries you can have in football right now. Patella tendon, Achilles, a lot of guys never come back the same, and it was awesome to see him all of a sudden just start breaking big runs and becoming a difference maker again. Had a 12-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter, and then had the huge 60-yard run that really helped kind of put the nail in the coffin for the Los Angeles Chargers. So that was awesome to see. Good for him. I love a story like that, a guy who worked hard to come back. And, yeah, is he as fast as he once was? No, but he's still damn fast, and looks like they got something at RB there in Los Angeles.
Yeah, a couple rushes in the first half, didn't do anything. Second half, 8 rushes for 131 yards and that touchdown, long of 61. The big guys, the bully ball for the Chargers, you mentioned it, Jim Harbaugh, that's what he likes to do. Kevin Adrian says, show the big boy some love. Damn okay Joe Alt, allowing 0 pressures to one of the league's best pass rushers. First time that Max Crosby has been shut out in an individual matchup since 2022. The rookie did it in game number 1.
Yes, it's I think this is what we can expect to see with Harbaugh. He's going to protect just Justin Herbert. That's going to be no, we're going to run the ball, and our quarterback's going to feel comfortable, right? It might not look pretty this year. It might take some time. They're going to it is a new offense. Receivers are still coming along, right? They have no guy that we can look at right now and go, oh, he's their go-to guy in the pass offense, right? So, I don't expect it to be pretty, but I do expect to see what we saw today. Efficiency, tough, physical, hard-hitting, right? They have a very good coach on the defensive side of the ball, and Jesse Minter, right, that came from Michigan.
Yep.
So that is all positive. But, yeah, that looked like a culture win. And, on the Raiders side of the ball, yeah, the Raiders, the defense, I like the way that looks. The offense, I think I'm going to have questions about. I don't know where it's going to go, right? Gardner Minshew does some things where you always like it, but he always does a few things that you go, oh, you can't miss that throw, or the ball can't slip out of your hands and become a lateral, and you give the ball to the Chargers at the 12-yard line, right? They did that at one point. I don't know if you saw that play. He was kind of getting ready to throw the ball. It slipped out of his hand and went backwards. And it kind of then rolled, and the Chargers picked it up and got the ball at the 12-yard line going in. So that was a big moment. We know he had the interception as well. But yeah, all in all, I worry about, I guess, the quarterback situation and the Raiders' offense altogether.
They feel Saints-ish from last year, where you look at the offense, you're like, what gets me excited on this offensive side of the ball? And you're like, I don't really know that there's much of anything. And I'll tell you what didn't get me excited. My least favorite coaching call of the Sunday, Antonio Pierce, end of the game, 4th and 1, with them down 6, and they were on the 43-yard line.
They were in the 40, they were kind of in that no man's land.
Not totally no.
I saw you. I know. I saw you. I think right after this, right? Did I see you, or maybe no? I don't think it was. No, it wasn't you. Yeah, that was.
And they punted.
And I was watching it, and he was really not sure what he wanted to do at the moment. He sent out the punt team. I could read his lips, and he was going, he said, I think at first he said, should I kick the field goal? Should I go for it? And they ended up punting it, right? They missed a field goal earlier, and I think maybe that scarred him a little bit because that gave the Chargers good field position on a drive as well at one point. So maybe that's what scarred him a little bit, and he did that, but you're right. The game changed after that because then that was the Dobbins long run, not long after that, right? I believe so. So, yeah, that was a tough one. I hear you there. I think he was thinking, we've played good D today. They haven't done much on O. Let's see if we can just kind of hang in there and pin them back and get the ball back. But, yeah, between the Minshew fumble, Zamir White fumbled when they were around midfield, kind of moving the ball at one point. That hurt them. We'll see where this goes. But, yeah, am I going to sit here and tell you that, yeah, as we said at the time, I don't think Gardner Minshew is going to have the longest leash in the world. Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if if it looks like it did today, I wouldn't be shocked if we see Aiden O'Connell in week 3 or 4 or whatever. And not that Minshew was so bad, but it's just not enough good plays, and then you can't have the few negative plays that he had that really hurt their football team.
Congrats to Jim Harbaugh, 5-0 all-time in season openers, 4-0 back with the 49ers, 1-0 with the Chargers now thanks to his buddy and his Lowe's home team helper in J.K. Dobbins. Thanks, Lowe's.
Thank you, Lowe's.
I don't think that was even required. A thank you to Lowe's. Yeah. That's a bonus part of the sponsorship right there.
I think they're going to pay you an extra $1,000 just for saying that.
We go right from that. Our game on Sunday night is almost over. The Lions have to complete this comeback.
I wish it would be over so you could focus on the podcast over here.
I've done very well. I think I've done actually quite well.
You've done quite well, but every now and then I look over and Ahmed's like this. I'm just looking at the TV. He's not listening to a word I said. I
can do two things at once. I'm listening to what you're saying.
I don't even care if you are. Don't worry. I'm like Chris, no matter what.
Chris is talking about how the team should have punted. I get it. I hear that, and I can still watch the game.
So you got 2nd and 5. You're on your own 36-yard line here.
Yeah, the
with
game
2 minutes left.
The game-winning drive is just beginning.
This sounds like it could be overtime too. So we'll see where this goes.
While we wait for the Lions to come back and win this thing, we go. Give me the headlines presented by Hyundai. This is where we are in the printing press. We got papers coming out tomorrow morning. It is now 11:12 at night here on the East Coast. We got 2 games to talk about here. Buccaneers, they handled the Washington Commanders. Your headline for this game is?
Baker's Bay. Yes, not Tampa Bay, Baker's Bay. And oddly enough, I'm going to tell you a little bit. His charity's called Baker's Bay.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it in the end zone on the wall.
He's taken over.
He's taken over. And I love that, and I always wanted the Buccaneers, our mighty, yo ho, the Pirates slave for me. But that was an impressive win for the Bucs today. First off, Baker Mayfield was awesome, especially early on in the football game.
5 consecutive scoring drives to open the game.
I mean, and let me just say, like 5 consecutive scoring drives and just one good aggressive throw after another. I mean, Baker really threw the ball awesome today. And then I think what's impressive off of that is they had a little running game to go along with it. You know, if they can get that going with a guy like Baker Mayfield, okay? Because Baker Mayfield, if you can get people to creep up to the line of scrimmage and start worrying about, you know, the run game, he is a guy that's going to go, oh, you're creeping up too close. I'm going to throw it deep to Mike Evans. I'm not going to let you off the hook here. And I think their offense is built like that too. But really did a great job of, yes, running the ball. Mike Evans with a few big plays. Chris Godwin. They got Rasheed White into the passing game as well. That was really good. And, you know, all in all, I don't think that Washington defense is all that talented. Right, but this is a good start. It's Dan Quinn, and he's trying to impress and come out and show everybody. But we saw another rookie quarterback on the other side, too. It was the theme of the day. Rookie quarterbacks who look good in the preseason. The regular season's not the same, not with the type of players that are on the field. And, of course, the schemes are so much more drastic. I bet you these guys, including Jaden Daniels today, drop back a few times and were like, what the hell is this coverage? I don't know what's going on. I never saw this in the preseason. But I will say Jaden Daniels looked good today.
Didn't throw an interception.
Out of all the rookies, he looked the best, I think.
70% completion percentage.
Right.
Ran for 88 yards. Now, some of this came at the end of the game when it was a blowout.
Yep.
2 rushing touchdowns,
right.
though.
But still was in control of himself, never looked too big. Let me just say, too, when he runs, he looks really fast. Like, really fast. The first few times he took off, I was like, wow, that was easy. And he might be challenging people like Lamar and Justin Fields for the fastest quarterback in football, like right away. Kyler Murray in that conversation too. But, yeah, I mean, as we know, this Washington team, we don't expect them to be world beaters this year. This is we're building for something for the future. We're building Jaden Daniels to get him going. But the Buccaneers reminded us that they're a playoff football team from last year, and they got talent on both sides of the ball. And, yeah, damn, I thought they looked really good today.
Yeah, Penguin Sunburn says, damn okay Bucs offensive line. I know it was only against the Commanders, but that has been a solid unit for the past couple of seasons.
It has.
It'd be hard for me not to imagine them being a wild card team, if not more. So Penguin
maybe I'm
Sunburn,
wrong. They scared me today. I didn't pick them to be in the wild card or anything, and they scared me. And our buddy there, talking about that game at Penguin Sunburn.
Yep.
He's right. And I think that O-line has a chance to maybe be as good as it's ever been in the last few years. I really do, across the board. I think this might be the year where we might be able to have like a legit run game, right? You know, I know they can pass protect.
You're going we on
well,
the Bucs
I got
there?
drafted by them. They gave me millions of dollars. I'm allowed to say that.
No, I know, but I don't think you've always gone we, though.
I don't even know why I said that. That just like totally just came into my mind. I usually only say we with the Giants.
Yeah, but they don't have a good enough offensive line.
Yeah, but
now,
I guess when you almost die on the field and like lose your spleen, you're allowed to join the we party.
You're a part
right?
of them. They're
okay.
a part of you.
Okay.
You're
My
a part
DNA's
of them
on the
forever.
field.
Yeah, I just thought it was. I was like, he's back. He's back on board. They're we again. One more game to talk about here in the newspaper and the printing press. Vikings beat. Oh, here we go. To your Giants, the Giants. Our Giants. Oh, what is that?
That's the Ghostbusters song.
Ghostbusters.
Yes.
A movie I did see.
You did see when you were 5 years old.
All those movies growing up, yeah.
Yeah, that's the headline for this one, Ghostbuster. Why do I say this? Come on, Sam Darnold. He was seeing ghosts in that Monday Night Football game against the Patriots a few years ago. Remember when he was playing for the Jets and they had him mic'd up and everybody talked about it in New York? Oh, my gosh, he sees ghosts. Is he overwhelmed? No, he wasn't overwhelmed. He was just on a shitty team. So everybody would have been overwhelmed. And I was so happy for him today. To come out like that, just firing the ball around a field where he probably has no good memories at, and kind of puts that to bed. And also, I think puts questions to bed, I think, right away to go, hey, the Vikings offense is going to be something to worry about here. You know, we know Kevin O'Connell, his ability to throw the football and what he does there is very special. And the Aaron Jones addition at running back, was real. Man, Aaron Jones looked really, really good. So all of those, like, totally positive. What did Darnold start out? 11 for 12?
Oh, 12 for 12, I think.
12 for 12, 130 or 40 yards right off the bat, and really put the Giants in a spot where, pretty early on, early third quarter, late second quarter, we were like, the G-men they got no chance today.
Get this, for the Vikings, this was their largest margin of victory since 2019. Flip of the coin here for the Giants. This was bad again because they started last season, if you remember.
Yeah.
They lost 40-0 to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
So that's not a great way to start your season last year. This was not much better.
No.
How worried are you about your New York Giants?
Very. I mean, offense still doesn't look great, right? I know Daniel Jones is going to get a lot of crap, and he should. He missed some throws, but still was under pressure a lot today. They can't run the ball worth a damn, right? And then the other thing that I think is a little worrisome about them, and we knew this going into the year, is their secondary. Their secondary is not good. They tried to trade throughout preseason to get another corner to go along with Aaron Banks. And you saw today that they're going to have issues matching up with offenses that have more than one go-to guy. You know what I mean? And this would be one of those teams that has more than one two guy with the way they play offense, and O'Connell spreads things around and everything there. So, yeah, not a good start. Not a good start at all for the New York Giants. Pains me to say it. Dexter Lawrence looked like he was awesome today. Other than that, I don't know if there was a whole lot more other positives there. No. Malik Neighbors does look the part. That's the other part. Malik Neighbors looks real. Okay, I'll say that. But I just don't know if they're going to be good enough to really feature him and show all the good things he can do. Oh, man, it was 3rd and 5. This is a weird drive. They're driving down the field. They're in field goal territory right now. It's 4th and 5. They're going to kick it and tie this game up with 20 seconds. It looks like we're going to go into overtime.
So here's the problem. You do have Jake Bakes. I don't condone a go for it here.
You don't want to go for it here? Wait, maybe your kicker doesn't make it in this range all that well.
Well, I am worried about the kicker.
Maybe like in this little range of 4 to 5 yards, he doesn't kick it good. So
I am worried about the kicker. This is Jake Bates. He came over from the USL, or what is it called now? The UFL?
I don't know. But he knocks us. He kicked one in from here already.
I know, but I'm a little worried.
All right,
down
you're
the
not
middle.
worried
Okay.
anymore.
All right, so it looks like we are going to overtime in this
game. It
game.
looked like you guys were going to have a touchdown on that drive. Was that Jahmyr Gibbs running over the middle and he tripped and fell on the little post route?
Yeah.
That was him, right?
Yeah.
That looked like it was about to be a walk-in touchdown, and I don't know, the turf monster might have got him.
We have just guaranteed that I will be distracted for the entirety of this podcast now.
Yes.
But what I can say with certainty is that was Give Me the Headlines presented by Hyundai. So we move on now to a section we're going to call Young Quarterback Struggles here, but I think this first game is more about the team that won for sure. Yeah, Bryce Young struggled again. First pass was an interception.
Yeah.
Not great.
Right.
Saints destroyed the Panthers 47-10. I said the Cowboys the most impressive win. I still think it was because on the road in Cleveland against a good defense.
That's right.
Panthers we saw last year, they're not much. Should be improved this year, I thought.
We think. We're not sure.
The Saints looked very good in week 1.
I agree with your sentiment and what you're trying to say. Like, that was an impressive win. I don't care. I know it was the Panthers or whatever but that was like, we're going to beat you. We're going to stomp on you, and we're never going to give you any chance to get back in this football game. Not only running the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage. Derek Carr. Let me just say what I loved about Derek Carr today, right? Because I know I gave him a little crap last year. I don't think he played well last year. I think he was a little quick to throw the ball at times and not stand in the pocket and let big plays develop down the field. That was not the case today by Derek Carr. Derek Carr made a lot of plays where I looked at it and I said, man, last year he's going to throw the 4-yard check down. He's not going to stand there and do that. And nothing, I think, exemplified that more than the first touchdown he had to Rashid Shaheed. He kind of was in the pocket. It was collapsing. And I feel like old Derek Carr would have been like, oh, no, I need to throw it away or I'll just take the sack. And he kind of hung in there to the last second, uncorked a beautiful pass to Rashid Shaheed, and they never looked back from that standpoint. Then he makes the play, scrambling to the right, throwing it in the back of the end zone to the touchdown to Foster Moreau, right? So all things were good there. And they totally overwhelmed the Carolina Panthers. Matthew Stafford almost threw a pick trying to force a ball down the field that would have been a disaster. But they overwhelmed the Carolina Panthers. And I'm talking of overwhelmed too. Yeah, Bryce Young looked overwhelmed again too. I know, and I'm not. Again, we're not going to overreact, but I'm just telling you, I didn't like the look. I don't like the look of how Bryce Young plays in the NFL.
Yeah, you never have.
I know, and I hope that improves. I'm not trying to be a hater. I know I'm tough on him. I'm just talking ball here. But I also realize that they needed some guys to help him too. They do need that, and I don't think they have the receiving core right where they want it yet. And hopefully, Xavier Legette can come along and be a real threat for them on that side of the ball and all of that. But man, that was ugly today. Very impressive by New Orleans all around. Defense was great with Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara. Rashid Shaheed is the best receiver on the New Orleans Saints.
Really?
I think so.
You like him over Chris Olave? I've always liked Chris Olave.
I know. I like Chris Olave too. Chris Olave's good. Don't get me wrong. I think Rashid Shaheed is every bit as fast as Chris Olave, let alone being a bigger human to go along with it. That's what I like. Olave has games like this every now and then. We see today where he's not there. It disappears. And I don't know why I have to go back and watch the film. It could have just been a day where they just blew him out and then it just never really came his way. But regardless, awesome for the Saints. Way to go.
Chase Young, team high 6 pressures, twice as many as the next closest Saints pass rusher in his New Orleans debut. And so that's cool.
I know,
for
and that's
him.
what stinks with Carolina. They got this whole new offensive line. You suspected more there, right? And this is just not what you wanted to do to Bryce Young in the first game. Hey, we're down by 23. Now you have to throw the ball, and Chase Young could just go, what? Run game? I'm not worried about that. I'm going after Bryce Young. And that's kind of just, it all kind of steamrolled downhill after that.
Derek Carr in his last 5 games, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Way to go,
today.
Derek Carr.
He's like, at some point, Chris will have to like me. He will have to like me.
I've always been a defender of Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Last year, I definitely got on him. I've been a defender of him through his career. He would tell you that. He knows that too.
We're gonna ask him. I'm gonna ask him that. I'm gonna see.
All right, fine.
Has Chris been a defender of you? To see what he says. One more game to talk about on this Sunday. Seahawks defeat the Broncos 26-20. Denver's 3rd straight 0-1 start.
Yep.
So not great for them, but the Seattle Seahawks got out. It wasn't pretty for either team in this one.
It was not. You're exactly right.
Like you said, I'm going to have to go back and watch the tape on what actually happened in some parts of this one. But
it was ugly early. I mean, we had 2 safeties by the Denver Bronco defense in the first half.
Yeah.
That never happens, right? So that's what kind of game it was. We had a holding penalty by an offensive lineman when they were in the end zone throwing a pass, and then they were backed up another time, and Charbonnet didn't get out of the end zone and got tackled in the end zone and became a safety as well. So it was very ugly. Geno Smith threw a horrible interception to start the football game. So, wow. But fortunately for the Seahawks, the Broncos were every bit as ugly on offense, right? Another rookie quarterback that learned a lesson today to go, whoa, the Seahawks do a lot more on defense than what I saw in preseason film, right? I mean,
all these teams are sandbagging.
All these teams
in
are
the
totally
preseason.
different, right? Yes. So he got a lesson today, and yes, he looked flustered. I will say that. Never really got in a rhythm. They were overwhelmed in the pass game. They did a good job hanging in there in the first half with just playing defense and field position and the safeties and doing all that. But in the third quarter, that all ended, and it all ended because Geno made some good throws, but it all ended because of Kenneth Walker. And if they can get him going, you know how I feel about Kenneth Walker. I think he's one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. He got it going. They march right down the field, touchdown, first drive of the second half. They get the ball again. They kick a field goal, right? I think it was 3 consecutive drives where they scored and kind of put Denver in a spot where it was going to be hard to come back. Bo Nix made a nice little touchdown run at the end of the game to close it to 6 points, but you felt like Seattle was going to win it really kind of late third, early fourth quarter.
Yeah, give some credit to Ryan Grubb coming over, first year as a
Definitely.
coordinator here from Washington.
Right.
Like you mentioned, struggled early, did not look good, ugly. Second half, whatever adjustments they made, running the ball a little bit more. Kenneth Walker, they scored on its first 3 possessions.
It was
in
the first
second
3, right?
half.
I thought so. I sometimes I'm not sure. I'm like, did a quick 3 and out happen there? But I try to do a lot of this. I write notes and I try to do a lot off my head. And that's where I can screw up. But, yeah, good job by you giving Grubb some love.
Thank you.
And I would love to see that run game get going there. Right? I would love to see him take off. I think they actually have horses up front this year on the O-line where they could be a good running team. Their right tackle position, Fant got hurt today, and I don't know what the status is. He was the backup to our other guy that's from Washington State on Abraham Lucas. So that hurt for them. But man, if Mike McDonald can get them running the ball a little bit like the Ravens could, Geno's got talent. And did you see Geno's touchdown run today? Geno ran for a 30-yard touchdown. All right, that was kind of impressive. 34-yard touchdown run for the old man Geno running for a touchdown. That was awesome. That was awesome to see.
He had 4 rushes for 30 yards.
Yes.
And he had a long of 34. You don't often see that.
Right.
The other 3 didn't go that well.
Yes, exactly. They went backwards, the other ones.
What I'm saying. All right, our game has gone into overtime here on Sunday night. So a good first Sunday night game for us on NBC. If you've made it this far into the podcast, you get some bonus.
Yeah.
It's not all just the Sunday games.
No, we got to
go
cover
back
it all.
briefly and talk about the other games. We'll start with the kickoff game in Kansas City. You were there. Chiefs and Ravens came down to a toe in the final second. Chiefs hung on to win.
I really, there's positives for both teams there
Sure,
to look
it did
at,
seem like
right?
it.
I think I still feel way more positively about the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, I felt like were on the precipice number of times of really kind of putting the Ravens in a spot where it's like you're in deep shit. This game's over. Mahomes' interception, that was a huge moment at the end of the half, right? They're gonna have a chance there to go up 16-7 at the very least at halftime, I believe, something like that. Instead, it becomes 13-10. Totally different game. Changed everything there. The drop passes by the Chiefs. I mean, Juju dropped a touchdown. Pacheco dropped a pass on the run where if he doesn't score, he's going to get tackled at the 2 or 3 yard line. Kelsey dropped a 2nd and 10 pass over the middle, or 2nd and 5 pass over the middle that was going to be a first down that probably would have brought them to the 2 or 3. Mahomes kind of missed Pirine on the left wheel, if you remember, in maybe the 3rd quarter, I believe. Pirine runs out. Pirine stuck one hand out. Mahomes led him a little bit. He's going to walk in for a touchdown, right? So I like the way the Chiefs' offense looked. The Chiefs' offense, being there, watching it in person, is definitely different. They have definitely more people attacking downfield, and of course the Xavier Worthy, addition really helps them out. I said this on Full Rio on Thursday on PFT and our podcast, and I've known this, and I might have even said this to you. Rashee Rice is their guy. He will be their leading receiver this year. The offense is going to go through Rashee Rice if he doesn't get suspended, right? That'll be the big thing. But he's the man. I knew that when the day I went out and watched them in Mahomes in practice, I went, I saw a lot of pass plays, and I was like, Rashee Rice is the number 1 read on a lot of these plays, right? That was a clue to me. So he is going to be the guy this year. But we know they got some other things around him. I mean, Kelsey's still going to be good. Xavier Worthy's going to be good. We're going to get Hollywood Brown back. Their O-line can protect. So all positives there, definitely. Defense, I know, is going to be good too. Ravens, a lot of positives as well. But my big thing with the Ravens is like, They can't play that way. It's just too much. It's too much Lamar. He's not going to survive the 18-week season if that's what he has to do.
16 carries, 122 yards, threw the ball 41 times.
Yeah.
It was Lamar basically every play.
He was awesome. He was magical. I mean, he really was. He made so many unbelievable jaw-dropping plays, and we're starting overtime here, and the Lions are marching right away. He made so many plays, though, that were incredible. He really was. He's probably still sick because he missed those 2 throws at the end of the football game. The Isaiah Likely throw should have been a touchdown where he got hurt. And, of course, Zay Flowers over the middle should have been a touchdown. Those throws were easier than the throw he made to Isaiah Likely for what we thought was going to be the game-tying score, and it wasn't. But I want to see more of a blend with the Ravens. Again, it looks like it got into Lamar, throw, make magic. Can we get the run game going? Can we get back to that? Can we get some play action and stuff like that to go along with it? That's what concerns me a little bit about Baltimore. But Baltimore's really good. There's no doubt about that. They're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC.
I mean, they tried Derrick Henry. They gave him the ball 13 times.
I know. I just would like to be a little bit more – I don't even know what to say. Here's another thing that bothered me. A little more judicious in how they use Lamar and try to help him out there. Because at 205 pounds, he's not going to be able to take that pounding with the weight he's lost. He was great. He really was. I was going to say something else off of that, but I forgot.
So many games and so many days.
I know.
This podcast getting late.
Yeah.
We're in overtime of our Save it for Wednesday.
I'll save it for Wednesday. I don't think it was anything that groundbreaking.
If it ever comes back to you. All right, it's been the David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs show out of the backfield here so far. Lions down to the 20-yard line, so see if they can just punch this in.
Lions, I mean, the Ravens O-line gotta just. Hey, it was their they got some figuring things out still. Ronnie Stanley, it was the first time he played.
Yeah.
They're rotating the right tackles. They got some new people on the inside. So that showed up in the game as well. But I think ultimately they're going to be very good. And the other thing is this. This is what I wanted to get to.
You remembered it.
Lamar or whatever, they got to take control of protections better. They had some issues in just how they formed and pointed out people on blitzes and how they were going to block. At the end of the game, they had the back on Chris Jones 2 different times. That can't happen. They got away with it at this time. They won't get away with that as the year goes on. That was a little weird.
One more game to talk about. It was Friday. It was in a different country.
It
was in Brazil. Eagles beat the Packers 34-29, and part of me was thinking after that game, I don't know that we learned anything, right? It was in a different country. The field was slick and wet. It was just like, I don't know. It was on Peacock, too, which could throw things off. I'm not totally sure how that works. We were very happy it was on Peacock. But, the Eagles got the win here. But maybe this is what we learned in Next Gen Stats. Kellen Moore's debut as the Eagles offensive coordinator. The offense utilized motion on 65%, their highest mark in a single game since 2020. Last year, the Eagles used motion at the lowest rate league-wide at 35%.
The number one thing to talk about, the offense, difference. Kellen Moore, I'm already going, it's going to be better. I know that. Right,
and you weren't even necessarily a huge Kellen Moore fan.
I'm not a
in
huge
Dallas.
one. No, it's good, right? But I've always was like, yeah, they could do a little bit more. It could be a little more creative, right? I've had those complaints, but compared to what Philly has done last year, this is a big improvement. And hey, Pete, I don't know if you can look this up real quick because that was a great stat we had there. But how many times were the Eagles underneath center in the game? That, to me, was the other thing that I love. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts got underneath center, right? Play action pass, bootlegs, letting Saquon Barkley run downhill instead of being in the shotgun and always having to go horizontal to the line of scrimmage. I love the Eagles' new look offense. I loved it. It makes me think they're going to be real. And Jalen Hurts, even though made a few mistakes and little struggles early, damn, he made some big throws in the football game, and we know how dangerous they are in that aspect. So, the Eagles' offense was the headliner of that game. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Offensive Player of the Year on the Chris Simms Unbuttoned list.
It's the first thing I thought about.
I was so happy for him to see what he did and all of that. So that was great. Defense definitely needs some work. The Eagles' defense was a little concerning. I mean, there were some people wide open for Green Bay. And Green Bay is going to be mad. One, yes, Jordan Love got hurt.
Do we know the severity?
He's going to be out about 3 to 5 weeks.
That's the idea right
it's
now.
It's an MCL sprain. I love the way Josh Jacobs looked, so that was a positive. But the other thing with Green Bay, Jordan Love was not on his game, even before the injury. He missed throws that he just doesn't usually miss. He looked like he lost control of the ball once or twice, and then he got afraid to kind of let it go, and he kind of tried to guide everything. Did you notice how many balls kind of died out or stuff like that?
Sure.
Right? Still made a number of big plays. Man, Jaden Reed at receiver was unreal, right? So that was a positive. But
and
wow,
the Lions have started the season just like we ended last year's Sunday night podcast with a Lions victory over the Rams. It has happened once again.
Right down the field, touchdown.
Just ran right down their throats.
Right down their throats, right? Was how many passes there?
I think that
one or two?
Swing pass to Gibbs,
right?
But yeah, Montgomery
started off with
a
Montgomery runs, and which is I think they were a little. They should have ran the ball more tonight, honestly, that is what it looked like. But good win for them. That's going to be the question about the Rams as we go on through the year. Their front seven, are they good enough, big enough, mature enough, veteran-wise there to be really good? But back to the Eagles, Packers thing real quick, because I think we said it all. I still like what I saw from the Packers talent level-wise, but – Jeff Hafley, their new defensive coordinator, he's going to have to go back to the drawing board a little bit in their attack because they got gashed a little bit in the third and fourth quarter. It was a little concerning, and I don't know exactly what happened there, but, I'll check out the film at some point.
The biggest thing we need to do is never play on that field again in Brazil. That's what we have to
bothering.
do.
And what we got to learn here in the United States of America, when we want to go play on these soccer fields, they're made for 5'10", 160-pound men. They're not made for the Jalen Carters of the world, Or the Saquon Barkleys, even for that matter. A guy that's, he's only 5'10", but he's 225. And he can put force into the ground that no soccer player is capable of doing. Right? Those kind of guys, that grass is not made for NFL humans. And that's where I wish the NFL would step in and take control of the grass to a better degree, because there's too many mistakes. I felt like the grass hurt the Packers more than it actually hurt the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's just annoying that we had to watch that night.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but let's finish our discussion of the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
And I do feel a little bit bad. Like, I've never been that confident with the Lions. Like, I almost came off as arrogant at times, even when the Lions were down. I was calling a comeback win. I hope I didn't come off as too arrogant there, but
no, you did.
I'm confident about this team now, and
you're really good.
Proved me right. They proved me right there.
Hey, it's a dangerous, first game of the year. McVay and Stafford, and they want to prove a point about losing last year, and they're amazing game planners. They're tough. The Rams are always tough, so all of that. But the Rams, without either one of their tackles tonight, they really could never really run the ball. It was too much on Stafford in the pass game. So hopefully that can change. And it will change, I think, when they're healthy up front as we go along. I told you about their defense. I like the talent there, right? I worry about their corners a little. We saw Tre'Davious White. He's not the old Tre'Davious White. We saw Jameson Williams run right by him, right? And the other thing you got to remember, too, is you're a team. You played none in the preseason. I know they didn't either. But you guys are a little bit more intricate in your run game and what you do there, and the offensive line not having good reps, I think probably hurt your run game, but it came alive there at the end of the football game.
Best game of Jameson Williams' career, 121 yards and a touchdown.
I thought about making him Offensive Player of the Year. I told you I had Saquon, Bijan Robinson, and then when I saw Pete give us this damn okay thing award, I was like, all right, I'll put Jameson there and give Saquon the Offensive Player of the Year. But I am pumped for Jameson Williams because I know, whatever. I think he's going to be a superstar.
All right, so Lions start 1-0, Rams start 0-1. One game to go. The final thing we'll talk about here, it is Jets at 49ers. You picked the 49ers to win 21-17, so you have picked them to cover the 3.5-point spread. And for the under to hit, because the over-under on that one is 43.5.
Yeah, I don't – this is a game I'm on the fence about. I worry about the 49ers in the aspect of, hey, Trent Williams just got there. Brandon Ayuk, are we going to get Jamar Chase, Brandon Ayuk, or CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, right? I don't know, right? So Christian McCaffrey hasn't practiced much at all in training camp either, right? So I worry about that. The Jets are coming in to prove a point. They're coming in. This is their chance to go, hey, we are here. Robert Saleh going back to San Francisco where he got this head coaching job from as the D coordinator.
This is a little bit like a Super Bowl for the Jets.
It's a little bit like, hey, we're here to show everybody in the 49ers and the NFL how good and how – this is a statement game. I think the 49ers know that, right? I think that's why Shanahan played some of his starters even in the preseason game number 3 because he knows what's coming to town. It's the Jets. Everybody up here talking about it. How good are they going to be? This defense is real. The talent's real. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers going back to California and all of that. He's going to want to put on a show as he always did as being a 49ers fan growing up. So I'm taking the 49ers almost just because of a little bit like I got to see it first from the Jets, and I just believe in the 49ers culture to get it done. But would I be shocked if we were sitting here on Wednesday going, man, the Jets won 21-17? No, I would not be shocked. This is going to be a tough football game. Saleh's going to have a good feel for Shanahan's tricks and what he likes to do in certain things, and that's an advantage for him. Definitely, let alone we know they're extremely talented all the way, but I'm still going Niners.
DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets instantly, plus get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium.
Download the app and use promo code UNBUTTON when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
So it was a good weekend for the Unbuttoned podcast here because my Lions won,
Yep.
Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers won, and your old team, the Giants, they lost. But they're your old team.
They're my old team. The hell with that team. Who cares about that? I have been enjoying all the Giants, 100-year anniversary stuff, all of that.
This is not a great way to celebrate.
It's unfortunate they're not going to be very good in the 100th year, it doesn't look like.
Yeah.
But, it was an awesome first day. It really was. And I also, like, I've gotten to the point, and now I'm Johnny Media guy too, where, like, I worry about what I picked for my best bets on Thursday. I was 3-0 this week, so I feel good about that.
But what I thought you got the Bengals game wrong. That was not a best bet.
I didn't pick Bengals best bet. Nope.
That was your lock.
That was my lock.
Yeah.
My best bets were Chiefs on Thursday
there
night.
You go.
I picked the Cardinals. I picked the Cardinals to cover.
Oh, there we go.
Right?
Okay.
And I picked the Steelers to win.
There you go.
So I got that. Yeah, I'll take that. Those are
Good
little
start.
moral victories that make me feel good going into Monday morning. All right, so
just retire.
And I always feel good being here with you, Slugger.
As do I.
You are the man. Thanks for staying here so late.
Of course.
I know I've been working hard. You've been crazy hard.
Everyone here at this company.
The Paralympics, you were doing it 2 weeks in a row. I'm sure today you were like, I would rather do anything than sit down with Chris at 11 o'clock and do a podcast tonight.
Yeah.
So you the man for doing that.
Thanks, Chris.
But you know where to find us, everybody. Chris Simms Unbuttoned, Ahmed Fareed Unbuttoned. All right, we'll be here Wednesday. Subscribe, rate, and review. You know where to find us. Wednesday, we'll give you a little week 2 preview, and then we're gonna break down some of the interesting things that happened today in NFL football when I get a chance to go watch some film. All right, everybody, be good. Enjoy Monday Night Football. We'll see you Wednesday. Peace out, homies. Clap it up.
Can you believe it? I've made it to the end. You have to get up in 7 hours.
Yo, homies, thanks for watching. Yeah, it's time. The NFL season is here on Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
You can hit subscribe to get all the weekly picks, plus our Sunday recaps as the games are happening.
Oh, you know it. Nobody does that better than us. Thanks again for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out. We'll see you next time on Unbuttoned.